Hi, I'm Leah. I'm an artist, a storyteller, a content creator for video, and most of all, and for a long career, an educator. Narrative painting tells a story which the artist wants to share with others. Narrative painting is my creative vibe because I'm not just painting a pretty picture for decorative purpose, but I'm educating and creating a conversation with my viewer. I want to share the inspiration behind the painting for learning and understanding, especially when I do paintings of places that I'm able to visit here in Israel. So, welcome to the journey. Let's get started. Here I am, seated at an outdoor restaurant in Netanya, which is on the coast of Israel. I'm ready to observe the world around me and to take reference photos for paintings that I do back in the studio. I usually just use my camera phone as it takes both photos and videos. I try to edit the photos very soon after I take them, both to accurately frame and capture the feeling, colors, and shapes which attracted my attention, and also to think about the story behind the painting. If I wait too long to do this, I end up painting a flat scene instead of communicating a moment in time, a feeling, or experience. This is something to keep in mind wherever you go. It is not the camera equipment which makes the difference. It is the framing and selection of what you wish to share with others. This is one of my favorite paintings, and it was my personal response to Yom HaZikaron, which is the Day of Remembrance in Israel. It's to salute all those people who gave their lives through in the IDF or in other circumstances to help create our state. It's also for the victims of terror who paid for the fact that we are living in a Jewish state with their lives. They were killed not for any particular reason, but because they were Jewish and living in the Jewish state. It also includes some of the non-Jews who have given their lives for the state, such as the Druze and Israeli Arabs and Christians. So you can see that I've used the colors of the berets. I'll show you them in the next slide of all the brigades in the IDF. Our son served in Givati, which is the purple beret, and that's why it takes a prominent place. But the picture is to remind us that all those who served made it possible along the path to create the new cities and towns in Israel, to develop it into a beautiful, thriving place. And we're very, very grateful to all these people. And although we only truly remember them on Yom HaZikaron, we understand that each one was a person with a family and friends, and their life was cut off when they were just beginning it. And it's a very special moment. We do take it very seriously. So enjoy. Here are the berets with their colors, and you can enjoy looking at the names that go with the different colored berets. It's always interesting when you're traveling around Israel to take a look at the berets on each soldier and understand where they are serving. As an educator, I really enjoy sharing with others things that I've learned along the way. And this was a painting demo that I did for a group of Hadassah women. It's a few years ago now, but I took some local spring flowers And I showed them how to use composition to create a painting and how to use the different colors. As you can see, they were all absolutely entranced and got right to work. And everyone produced a painting that was different from the next person. So that was really a pleasure for me. And that's the kind of teaching that I do enjoy. Artists usually refer to color as hue, Hue. What we label as color are colors of the spectrum of reflected light. White and black are therefore, technically speaking, not colors, but the totality or absence of light. Without going too much into the color wheel and color theory, I will add a few details. Hues may be arranged on a scale of values from light to dark. Generally, I use a value scale of 8, meaning that I look for the colors which range from white or very light to dark or black. That means simply that all paintings or even photos will have a range of color values which help us to distinguish shapes and forms, focus on specific areas, the communication we are trying to share, create an emotional response, or generate a shared feeling and create interest in the viewer. By the clever use of complementary colors, color values, and neutrals, an artist can create a three-dimensional effect on a two-dimensional surface. It's quite amazing. The next three slides are going to show you what I mean by values. Values are the gradations between light and dark, and they change at different times of the day. So when you're doing a landscape, you have to be sure to keep the same values in your painting, especially if you leave it for a while and then come back to it. So if you look at this first picture, this is morning on a sunny day, and this is where I live in Modine. It's actually right in front of our apartment. I like to paint when there are shadows because it makes a more interesting composition. One of the first things an artist has to do when deciding on composition is to decide where the light is coming from. And if you look at the red roof, it will seem to change color at different times of the day. It is rare for an artist to use a saturated hue right out of the tube. Usually you want to lower the intensity by adding a little of the complementary color on the color wheel, or add a little of a side-by-side color on the color wheel. Adding just white or black will deaden the color, so using complementary colors can present a much more harmonious and interesting painting. So I'm just going to go through each of the next slides and you can see the differences for yourself. Artists sometimes paint in a realistic style, which is like the old masters, most of them. And today we have photographs and good cameras, which can really take over that role. Most artists that I know really like to be expressive, and there's more of a change towards abstract paintings because it gives the viewer an opportunity to engage and to use the symbols and the patterns and shapes and the colors that we put into a painting to recreate either a shared experience or an emotional feeling that you have, especially through the color and the shapes. But it gives the viewer an important role in the conversation, in making meaning out of the visual context that you see. So that's really the role of the artist, and you entertain, you create a composition that will lead the viewer's eyes through the painting, but in it will create a special meaning or conversation that goes far beyond language. So it's very special. Paintings are meant to entertain. There's detail, there are the colors and the patterns and the route that the artist has created to focus on one area, supported by what's really like a supporting cast of other interesting details within the painting. Is just like entertainment in the performing arts. You have a focus or a focal point, and it's supported so that the the audience really does focus in one area, but then you don't just automatically leave the rest of the space blank. You try to give variation in colors and textures and values so that the viewer wants to examine all the different areas of the painting, and that delights. One of the things that I found the hardest to learn when I was just starting out on my journey of painting, I belonged to the Willowdale group of artists in Toronto at the time, and also the Toronto Watercolor Society. And we had lessons from master painters to help us, and then we would practice. It was really difficult, though, to stop painting photographs and instead really think about what it was you were trying to express in a painting, and to decide which symbols and colors and shapes and patterns would do that best. And that's when you really become an artist, when you are telling a story or recreating a narrative that starts maybe in your mind, or is just a brilliant flash of intuition, and you've got to get it down to share it, but you're not copying from any resources, even if they're your own. You're using them as inspiration. So symbolism is very important, and is something that you will find that you change your mindset. You have to change your mindset as you begin to practice and learn new techniques. There are 8 principles of design for composition of a painting, and they all have their place, but you're not going to put every one of them into the same painting. You're going to choose 1 or 2 of the principles of design to really emphasize. Otherwise, it would be like walking into a circus or some kind of entertainment with flashing lights and sound and lots of people, the hustle and bustle. It would be too confusing to get any understanding or meaning out of the whole thing. So I'm going to show you in the next few slides what some of these principles are, and I have examples on each slide of how I've used that principle in my composition. You you can get away with breaking some of the principles of design when you're an accomplished artist. But as one of my artist friends once said, you better know what the rules are before you start breaking them. Otherwise, it's just chaos. It's always fun to do a show or to have your paintings hanging in an exhibition somewhere. And I've shown a couple places for this to happen. It's also really fun to be part of a group and share with each other, learning new techniques and what works, what doesn't, and just to have the encouragement of painting with others is a lot of fun. So when I present some videos or do some online courses, which I'm going to be doing, it will be really fun for you to practice with other people and to have the opportunity to show your work and keep a record of your progress so you can see how much you're improving. I want to finish up with this slide because Israel does inspire my art. Although I was Canadian born and raised and worked there through my educational career, I love the colors of Canada and particularly the group of seven. If you know anything about that group of artists who were part of the Impressionist movement, they really influenced and shaped my work. I love color and I love to paint the natural landscapes that I find around me. And I hope that you will too. So you'll see in my other channel work and on my website that I have a lot of inspiration for you for ideas to paint. It's really good if you start following those principles that I laid out and you start really looking at your environment and appreciating the curl of a leaf or a flower petal, the variations in hue when the light hits both and when it's in shadow, and with landscape, how you create perspective and show distance and volume. All those things are absolutely fascinating and a lot to learn. And I hope that you'll join me on this journey of discovery where we can have some fun being creative and we can support one another. And I can answer your questions or point you to resources that you will find very helpful. So, welcome. And I hope that you'll continue the journey with me and watch for new videos to be posted on this channel. Bye.